Could you walk us through what happened back then?
Sure. It was a regular day at work. I needed to check something with my bank account, so I went on a company computer and Googled my bank's name.
Okay, and you said you ended up on what appeared to be your bank's official website?
Yeah, exactly. I typed in my bank's name into Google. It brought it up what I thought was my bank's online banking website.
Interesting. Now, how did the website lead to the theft of your money here?
Well, I have a security feature on my account where I receive a one-time passcode for signing it. I got the code via email, entered it, and the next thing I knew, $3,000 was gone from my account.
I see. Now, that must have been shocking. How did the hackers make this money?
Well, they used the e-transfer to send themselves a $3,000. It was immediate.
And the website itself, did it look fake?
I didn't know back then, but yeah, it was a fraudulent site. It looked exactly like my online banking sign-in page. My IT department later told me it was duplicated to look like the real thing.
I see. Now, was there any trace of this website after the incident?
No. As soon as my money was taken, the website disappeared. It was like it never existed.
Well, I would love to introduce to you Mr. Thomas Lowe, CEO and co-founder of GoodLabs. Thomas, if you join us. And please, Mr. Zinedine, please join us. BioCatch, Director of Strategic Sales from BioCatch, a leader in behavioral biometrics, which we discussed earlier before I choked on dust, became a massive unicorn with your billion-dollar valuation, and congratulations again, although you have more bragging rights, and it's unbelievable, the accomplishments, but thank you for being with us today. And please, Chris, Confluent. Chris is a field CTO and principal solutions engineer at Confluent, a LinkedIn spin-off of the widely popular data in motion platform Kafka, critical in near real-time fraud detection. Chris, thank you so much for being with us today. And Yeezy from Neo4j. Yeezy, please join us. Senior sales. We have our engineer, a database analytics, heavily used in LinkedIn analysis in fraud detection. Yeezy, thank you so much for being with us here today.
Well, thank you, Zinedine. These are amazing engineering partners that we are really deep into utilizing these type of platform for fraud hunting perspective of it. Now, the video is very interesting in the perspective because one thing is Hussein, our director of financial crime and fraud, really like to dig really deep, like talking to the victims, talking to the fraudster to find out how the sausage is actually made behind the scene. Now, as we all know, account takeover, ATO, it's just super challenging. Not only the fact that it hit the weakest link in the chain, which is the bank customer, right? We all love to reuse our password. We all love to click on emails that have no idea who sent it to me. As a matter of fact, one of my team members thought that I sent an email to her. She just give out like phone numbers or anything. I was like, oh no, don't do that, right? But at the same time, challenging thing about ATO is the speed and sophistication of the attack. During the exercise, we learned so much of it. And on top of it, I think everybody here in the audience, that I have to salute to everybody that the challenging thing about fraud prevention on ATO, it's really around the false positive. You create so much friction to the customer, right? We always joke about it at GoodLabs. The safest bank is the one that nobody bank with because it's just excruciatingly painful when you use the service. When you use the credit card, next thing you got triggered or the fraud got canceled. One of the biggest problem with fraud prevention is you cannot increase customer friction, right? So, Hussein, where are you? Right over there. Yeah. So, like, after you interview the victim, what is the biggest concern that you have?
Yeah, so it's actually really interesting. When we first started looking at this case and having spoke to the victim firsthand, 3 things really stood out to me. The first is, and I don't know how many people are familiar with this, but they actually utilize something called a black SEO, where it gives the fraudster the ability to outrank the real bank's domain. So you Google whatever bank you're looking for, and it's the first one that comes up. You don't really think twice about it. The second thing is, and this kind of hits closer to home because it's around the 2-factor authentication. I know it's still a highly used authentication method for a lot of banks, but the way the attack happened actually bypasses that 2-factor authentication piece and resends that code to the fraudster. And the third thing is the speed. One thing, and I can, from the victim's eyes, when looking at them, the speed of how fast the attack happened, and they had no idea what was going on the whole time. So I think these 3 things, Thomas, were what really stood out from the interview.
Now, speed, right? I'm going to ask the audience, how fast do you think the account takeover that the fraudster has time to perform end-to-end and profit from it? Is that like 3 minutes, 15 minutes, 5 minutes? Anyone? Who thinks it's 30 minutes? Okay, 30 minutes, we have 1. 15 minutes? Anybody? No? Okay. 5 minutes? 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Okay, let me ask the expert, because we are not, right? Hieu, account takeover. In terms of the fraudster in the dark web, how fast, how much time do they have in order to get right into it, profit, and then get out?
Roughly 5 minutes.
5 minutes. 5 minutes. This is crazy. So, because of the time urgency and the speed of the attack, it's the reason why we team up with some of our trusted engineering partners, BioCatch, Sunidin, providing behavioral biometrics information to quickly identify, hopefully, we'll see it today, as much as possible, what type of session it's deemed to be a suspicious fraudulent attack. And Chris Mata from Confluent, as everybody knows, Confluent is a platform, data in motion, based on Kafka, get into the action as quickly as possible, deliver the message reliably, and on top of it, you can perform a lot of different streaming processing in place, right? And Neo4j, Yushi, one of the most important thing is about the false positive, right? How are we able to identify potential suspicious session, but yet, how do we confirm before we take the action in order not to annoy the real customer login, right? So now, one of the things that what we want to do is we build up a demo today, what we call the HaystackDB. It's a simulation environment, bank simulation environment for us to be able to test it out, go head-to-head with Hieu on a live account takeover, and see whether the technology stack that we use will be able to provide hopefully, a quick response time to be able to bring down the attack before the damage is too much to attack. So now, one of the things that I want to ask Hussein again. Now, Hussein, you are director of fraud and financial crime. You work in some of the largest institutions, like MBAB and some of the largest financial institutions. Why did you come to me and ask me and say, hey, Thomas, we should build HaystackDB?
Yeah, good question. And it goes a little bit towards my pain points that I've come across in working in fraud. And I think a lot of people can relate here with me. Having that landscape constantly shift and new challenges, new tactics arising, it poses a lot of challenge to us fraud fighters to keep up and be able to develop new strategies, test new strategies, solutions, services, and build all these complicated things, only to know that, well, no, the fraudsters moved on. Now they're using another tactic or another form of attack, and it poses a lot of challenge. And one of my pain points is always when I do want to develop these new strategies, it's near impossible to test in production, let's be honest. And because of that, we have to go get funding and get approved and go through that entire journey. So, in talking to our postdoc research team, I thought they came to me and said, how can we test some of our fraud AI capabilities without having to, make it so complicated for the user? And that's where HaystackDB was born from. It's a platform, what I like to call is it's the POC for the POC. So you have the ability to test your strategies, your solutions, make sure it works, make sure you can tweak it as much as possible, only then to take it to a POC stage and go through the hassle of having to get funding for it. So,
yeah. Okay, thank you very much. Haystack, when we were developing Haystack, we found it quite useful because when we went through the hack with Hieu, when he was bringing up the latest technique on the attack, we found out that the technology stack that we put together was too loose. As a software engineering perspective, we thought that we can tackle them. But having said that, with the real scenario, we have to fix up a few things in order to tighten it up. So thank you for that. And now let's get right into it. Can we actually show the demo screen? So what you see on the screen is what we call the Haystack Control Center. What we're showcasing right now is some of the simulated live online banking login sessions that you see it on the green dot. And it's designed by our amazing engineer, Paul, one of our youngest in GoodLabs. I brought him right fresh from college, and he's so good that we decided to sponsor him to further his study. He just finished his master's degree in the human-computer interaction at University of Waterloo. I'm happy because he didn't flunk. And he helped design the control center because we all at GoodLabs fancy ourselves just like everyone in the audience, almost like an industry fraud defender. And he also helped designing the almost a very realistic simulated online banking system such that we feel that it's real, right? So Hieu, can you guide us through how the attack happened?
Yes, first the hackers, right? They will spend a few months to build up the black SEO, so-called the search engine optimization, to outrank the fake bank domain over the real domain. At the same time, they will set up evil genes, a kind of tool to do reverse proxy phishing, very popular, to provide the fake online bank that look exactly the same with the real bank website. Some bank website front end can be even downloaded from Google, from GitHub. The online should call Rebel got deployed by Microsoft. And once bank customer, they search the bank website on Google, and then when they click on the fake domain that look very close to the real domain using the homomorphic domain characters, evil proxy will intercept on the traffic, and even with the two-factor authentication, because it relays the traffic back to the real bank system. Instead of stealing the password, they will take the token and inject into the real bank website and take over the victim section account. And after that, become a history. They will quickly get transferred and they get out. So at first, the victim, they will search on Google a keyword called the good financial in this example. And after that, they just click on the link. It went directly to the fake banking website that opened up by the threat actor. And then the victim might not know, but look closely to the domain is not real. Victim will log in into with their credential along with two-step authentication, and the evil proxy relaying the traffic back to the real bank system. After that, the victim didn't know that this is the fake website. The evil proxy trapped all the information, including the token, and hacker all he needs to do is just copy the token, and then the hacker will take the token and then inject into the real bank website, and he just needs to refresh the browser. After that, start over the section within a second. That's it. Don't even need accounts, logins, or two-step authentication. Just need token, and after that, the threat actor will perform a transfer to the threat actor bank account.
Okay, wow, that is super fast, right? I mean, as you can see it, I don't even, like, sorry, not me, I'm a good guy. The fraudster doesn't even need to take your password. They just need to take your token. Right away, they take over your session, right? So now, like, when it's so fast, how do we defend it, right? So when you actually look at it, our control center, after the potential victim logged in, we're able to see something is posing on the yellow dot. And at the same time, there's a suspicious session, red posing in the other area, right? So we are able to receive it in real time. Now, how do we do it? How do we do it? What we have done here is this system is operate with the BioCatch API, able to trap in the behavioral biometric information and utilize Confluent to deliver it. And there's a process behind the scene looking at various type of information as a stream processing, and we are triggering something that looks suspicious. So now, Chris, tell me, from a Confluent perspective, you obviously have worked with a lot of different financial institutions, large or small. Typically, how do they actually utilize Confluent for fraud prevention?
Sure. Confluent's used across the entire bank, from the cyber team into the fraud space. It's used in payments. It's used in merchant services. Being able to take all that data and put it together easily, synthesize a view into what's happening, and then act on that data in real time is critical, and that's how they do that.
Yeah, yeah. It's amazing because we are heavily utilizing Confluent a lot on our side. We, as a engineering studio, we carefully pick engineering partner into becoming our what we call the go-to architecture for fraud platform design. And Confluent definitely is one of the very, very core elements, particularly the fact that we can consolidate a lot of data. Now, I don't know whether Rajiv is here. Rajiv, our Confluent architect, and Alka, our Confluent engineer. So you guys were the one who recommended to me that, Thomas, we got to make sure that we incorporate Confluent into the picture. Why is that?
Sure, Confluent is like a business version of Kafka, which is really strong platform for moving data around. Now, what's cool about Confluent is that it comes with the source connectors that brings together all the different events we get from different sources. This makes it super useful for quickly processing events, especially when we are running our AI model over at GoodLabs. It's very handy.
Yeah, we're doing integration in real time. So it's less about traditionally where you'd land data in various buckets, get it all together, run it every 15 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever, how often. We're actually streaming this data in real time. So data is coming off of these topics within seconds or even milliseconds after the event happened. And it's allowing software to react to it within a few milliseconds, which is basically unheard of for something like Kafka exists.
For sure. So on our side, we absolutely take Confluent as a very, very core system to consolidate all the streaming event coming in, and we are processing large amount of data. Now, let's dig it deeper into it because we have developed a tight integration between BioCatch and Confluent such that we can bring the BioCatch information right directly into Confluent for us to be able to look at it. Now, let's go back to the control center. Yeah. So now, so Nadine, when we look at this particular session on the red dot, right?
Yeah.
In terms of the behavioral biometric information coming from BioCatch, typically, like because you guys have a lot of feel when we're actually looking at it, it's just fascinating. Even understand whether a user is actually using left thumb or right thumb to type in password. So in this particular case, what type of information that, from BioCatch perspective, that is very, very core for us to be able to determine that this session is funny?
Yeah, absolutely. So BioCatch is collecting up to 3,000 behavioral biometric parameters in any session on top of device, browser, network intelligence. So over here, we would see, and I guess I'm not sure in this demo setting we'd be able to show all the intelligence, but in a real life setting, how we do ATO is we build account level specific behavioral profiles. So we have an understanding of what's the normal behavior for the user or the users in this account. So, and we even see instances where an account might be accessed by multiple human beings and we can distinguish that, but it doesn't mean that they're criminals. It could be just a couple who are sharing credentials. So in this type of scenario, we would see right away that from a very fundamental level that device is funny. It's a new device I've never seen historically with this account. It's coming from possibly a location IP that we've never seen associated with this account. The other thing is BioCatch monitors the session continuously, right? We're kind of monitoring like a closed circuit camera, looking at everything you're doing. It's a little scary. It sounds, but we want to collect as much information we can, looking at the journey from the login till the end of the session.
Yeah.
So over here, we would see that actually there are overlapping sessions potentially. If there's the genuine user who's logged in through their device, and now we're seeing another funny login coming in from these abnormal signals, and these are happening at the same time. And at the same time, we'll see that this other login, now they're maybe making some contact details changes, or now they're adding a new payee. They're transferring money from their savings to their checking account, and now finally attempting to cash out the account. So we would pick up all of these sort of as breadcrumbs along the way to up the risk. Like, we would see these all as anomalies that we haven't seen before. So we would return a real-time signal to the bank with a score, along with all the reason codes as to what we're seeing in the session.
Yeah. Thank you, Cindy. And one of the things that I found when I was working with the team, it's which I didn't even realize that there was there. It's when you look at this, it's not distance. It's actually the traveling speed, right? Now, Hussein, you're the person who told me that, hey, Thomas, we got to inject BioCatch as part of our fraud strategy, go-to architecture. Why is that?
So actually over here now.
Oh, sorry. I can't see it because it's just way too bright, almost like someone is actually doing high beam on me.
Glad you mentioned that. So traveling speed is really kind of interesting in a sense, right? It not measures the distance, but how fast can that actual customer be at that said location having just logged in 5 minutes ago, right? So it's a really unique kind of data point that you can use to understand the journey of that customer. And another favorite of mine is the screen size. So that's one thing that you can't really mimic on the Fraudster side, because he has no idea what kind of screen you're using.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
if you're
yeah.
using a 30-inch screen versus a 24-inch screen, that plays a big difference, right?
Yeah,
And to your point, aside from fraud, I know there's a couple of new AML regulations where they have to report device and IP, part of the transactional reporting. So those are also provided where it kind of helps the financial institution be up to the standard. So.
Right. AML, yeah, AML is definitely a very, very interesting one. And Sanjay, where you are, I can't really see.
Right here.
Okay, yeah, we recently brought Sanjay in as the subject matter expert. So Sanjay, tell me a little bit about the upcoming or the new regulatory requirement on device ID and stuff like that.
The timing is actually perfect for this conversation because as of April next year, FinTrack, which is our financial crime regulatory body, will require all suspicious transaction reporters to report information related to online activity.
Device used, so whether it's a laptop, desktop, or tablet, IP address, device ID, and how long the individual has been online. So as we're moving towards reporting online activity, as of April, all financial institutions will be required to submit that data if they have it in their banking system. So the benefit here is that you get the you get the bio data, but also you get robust information that would consent to FinTrack. So that's going to allow things like better false positive reporting, robust risk reporting, and better behavior analytics.
Good, thank you.
Can I add to that?
Absolutely.
So another use case we see for Confluent is regulatory reporting.
Yep.
The data being sent to a Kafka topic is persisted in that topic in the order that it happened. You can replay through that data whenever you want to rebuild the state of the world. So it's really common for regulatory use cases to actually go and take a Kafka topic and then feed it to the various regulators and report on that really easily.
Good point, good point. Now we have suspicious sessions. We can, and I hope that I'm not a professional fraud defender, but I hope that we can agree that we can take action right now because we don't know for sure, right? Yushi is actually just nodding her head. So let's get right into trying to confirm this session is truly fraudulent fishes, right? Now, one of the things that what we do, and we work very, very closely with Neo4j, is when a fraudster attack, they won't actually just attack one person for, I don't know, few grand. That's a lot of work. I personally wouldn't do it. It's just too much work for me. What they potentially would do is utilizing the similar type of exercise. Hieu is like getting very excited right now. Right? So he said, yeah, that I agree. Yeah. So what we have done here is when we perform what we call the impact analysis, utilizing this device ID that we capture from BioCatch, right? And quickly go back into using a graph analytics to see, okay, device ID, what other individual, which is bank customer, have the impact? And at the same time, the relevant account information that potentially got compromised also. Now, it's not only that. We can do the device ID right here, spend it out to these individuals, and then the yellow is the account that is associated with it. But what if we spend it out further? Maybe the fraudster is not an individual, it's an organization that potentially using multiple devices, but maybe similar type of IP. So let's get into the IP address impact analysis. So right away, with the power of Neo4j on the graph analytic perspective, right away we can look at it. Based on the same IP address, we're able to identify here is two clusters. This particular cluster is what you saw before based on the device ID, because this is the device ID, where the rest of it is also impacted by other devices, right? And right away, you can just go through, wow, that type of impact can be coincidences, right? So, Ishi, tell me a little bit more about, like, in terms of what you guys have seen in Neo4j, how other financial institutions or even other organizations would be able to utilize that type of power analytics to be able to quickly identify fraudulent activities and confirm it.
Well, I think you're spot on. So for Neo4j in the graph database and analytic platform, it all boils down, we treat relationship as the first-class citizen, right? The reason you are able to, like, to expand, traverse from, like, device IP to other information is because, like, the relationship is there. We persist the relationship. Just imagine if you want to access to have this view, but model data in the tabular format as column and rows, good luck with that. You lose the rich information that actually exists in the relationship, and it actually exists as the network topology of all of these nodes here. So, like, we've seen a lot of, like, banks and financial institutions adopt, like, Neo4j graph technology to fight for fraud. And especially, as you said, especially when you want to reduce the false positive, it's not about individual data points, it's not about simple aggregation of numbers. You need to get the holistic view and really understand the impact.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, exactly. So this is on the query side. And also, we have lots of graph data science algorithm you can run to get, like, a global read on what is the suspicious cluster, what is the suspicious pattern as well.
Yep. Thank you, Ishi. This is quite powerful when we're going through the build-up of the HaystackDB. And Vlad, our data architect, specialized also in the graph analytics, educate me so much of it. Not only the fact that obviously he has the PhD in index optimization and also one of the original team member in DB2 on the index optimizer engine. In my opinion, Vlad is probably one of the best data architect on Bay Street. Now, Vlad, why did you recommend us, like, come to me and say, hey, Thomas, you got to put graph analytics Neo4j in place? Now, again, I can't see you. I think it's pretty tall, so I think that's you.
If you cannot see me, that's a problem. I'm 6'5". I spent my life basically in the realm of relational databases, and I got relatively recently involved in graph analytics. So based on my background, I'm able to compare what you can do in one world versus the other world. And what you see here, believe it or not, is a query that has maybe a single line to produce this type of graph. If you are talking about relational world, you would probably have 4 or 5 table joins with left outer join, inner join, and other types of joins, where most of the time whoever is doing the join will have to figure out what type of join is to be implemented. And the problem is actually when you get the resulting set, nobody can guarantee that that resulting set is actually what you're looking for. I saw that many times, unfortunately, and over again, that is basically a problem with the analysis. Neo4j, and not necessarily just Neo4j, basically the graph technology is giving you ability to analyze the relationship. As Yuji said, relationship and node is basically the first class of citizen. And believe it or not, now you know everything about the graph. You have basically bubble and you have a line. And between two bubbles, there must be a line. If there is no line, basically you cannot do too much with the bubble. One of the challenges when you're building things like this, if you retrofit that to the relational database, we all talk about referential integrity, and then within the big data, that referential integrity relies on ETL developer who will do very interesting
easy now,
approaches.
easy now. Glad, okay, don't.
So what I'm trying to do, trying to say, when you build the graph database, basically you are building a network where you can traverse from basically anything to anything, finding the way to reach certain nodes. So if you look at this, picture, you can pick any yellow node on any side, pick another node on the other side, and you can, for instance, find a short path between these two nodes. That is one of the functionality of the graph.
Well,
Neo4j is good because along with traversing the algorithm, traversing the graph, you have ability to use very sophisticated and highly mathematical algorithms to actually do both machine learning and sometimes descriptive or predictive modeling in the graph. So it gives you a rich foundation for very advanced analytics that, by the way, in relational database you cannot do because you are missing some time or you have very complex relationships.
Yeah, I see a lot of people nodding their head already. So absolutely amazing, amazing technology, very, very essential. Now, the way that we, just last bit of it, the way that we brought over the biometric information from BioCatch through Confluent right into the Neo4j area, that's one thing that we really didn't show because we ran out of time, but we're using Databricks structured streaming transformation to bring it in. Now, Puyan, our large data architect, you're the one who came to me and said, like, Thomas, like, we absolutely need to put Databricks as part of the platform. Why is that?
Yeah, as lots of people here may know, Databricks has been around for some time already. And it's a platform that basically brings together data processing, data analytics, modern data warehousing, and also, thank you, and also data and also AI capabilities into one unified platform. And with that respect, it's having a very unique position in the market. So the processing engine of Databricks is built on top of Apache Spark distributed engine. It supports both batch processing that would basically enable us to process massive volumes of data at scale, plus structured streaming capabilities of Spark, which enables us to process data in increments with very low latency, basically near real-time processing capabilities, and as well as, which could be very handy in fraud detection use cases. Also, its AI capabilities basically enables us to train the models, register those models, and serve those models as a managed service. We can also basically track the execution of these models and capture those metrics and identify any drifts with respect to the performance of the models.
Interesting, yeah, so talk about AI, one of the, I think everybody here knows, probably know, GoodLabs is very, very hardcore in AI engineering. Chris, one of our AI and emerging researcher and also our director on the AI engineering side, got his relevant PhD in physics, and he's actually been working with the team on our PhD side a lot in the AI modeling in the fraud area. Chris, tell us a little bit, because you also recommended using Databricks also.
Yeah, sorry, is that on? Can you hear me? Okay, thanks. So we're working with a number of models right now. For example, we're using a Gaussian mixture model for detecting AI-generated voices that are used in voice phishing attacks. Excuse me. And also, for example, we're using bidirectional LSTM and convolutional neural networks models to detect, to be able to recognize handwriting that we can use to find fraud in checks. So we found that Databricks, has been really great for this for a lot of our different models. We can use it for continuous training, and then also monitoring model drift using their MLOps capabilities. So yeah, it's been really great.
Thank you, Chris. So I thank you everybody to participate in this because BioCatch, we have amazing experience, and without doing it together with Confluent and also Neo4j, we wouldn't be able to put together a end-to-end pipeline to be able to try to detect the ATO as early as possible. Now, I have to give you a bit of a disappointing news. When we do a benchmark using the pipeline, when Hieu is getting into the mix to perform the ATO, we're just a bit shy of catching up with his activity before he can transfer the money. We were a bit too late. That's one of the areas that we're working very, very heavily on utilizing AI and see whether we can quickly service the suspicious activities and at the same time utilizing graph technology to be able to confirm it as fast as possible. So for this, I thank you, all the partners in the team. Thank you very much working with us.
Yeah.
Chris, amazing. Rishi, thank you for your team. And I also actually thank my team working very, very hard on building this HaystackDB to allow us to be able to further test the strategy. So for now, I think we're going to take a couple minutes break because I think some of our bladder might be a little bit too full. Grab some drinks, have a washroom break, and then in a couple minutes, we'll be back for the last session that we have. Thank you.